with racing, then you'll love the new betting brand for racing fans. With exclusive markets, promotions, insights and content. That's betr. Gamble responsibly.
At the barriers, before we talk about the Cox Plate, gee, what about last week? The crowds at Randwick and Caulfield, and the races were unbelievable.
I've been to Royal Ascot, I've been at Flemington when Mackay Diva won her third, and there was 100,000 something people there, and the roar and the atmosphere on those days. What about watching the Everest? Now, you were there, Matty.
Yeah. The atmosphere was just first class. It was very, very loud. And the build-up, they've got that right.
Yeah, well, the music on when the horses have left and gone out to the barriers, and that song, what was it, Sweet Caroline or something like that, to get everybody G'd up, something we all like to sing and know the words to, just gets everybody focused and in that right frame of mind. I thought it looked like a great day. It's certainly now on the list to get up there and experience it myself.
Well, that leads us into the Cox Plate, because there's always been a big build-up into our best weight for age race. What about this year? There's a lot of talk always of the fact that it's the 19th race out of 20, racing Friday night, and we get to the Cox Plate at race 9, and there's rain forecast for Friday and Saturday while we're racing.
Yeah, tricky one for Marty Sign and his track team, but I wouldn't have thought they'd have much water in the track in the lead up in these few days coming up to the Cox Plate Carnival. So if the rain doesn't arrive Friday afternoon like predicted, we might be on really quick ground Friday night, which could suit leaders, and that might compact that inside section again, so when the rain does come on Saturday, you still might be in the best ground if you're in those first three lanes. So, as usual, we'll have to wait and see how the Valley plays, but there has been a tendency for it to be on speed inside so far this season.
Now, the factors we want to look at here, Sharkie has drawn the inside, so that's the perfect scenario for Sharkie, isn't it, to just get on the rail and go bang. We've got Animo, who will just be in behind, and of course we've got an international visitor who, of late, if you take Winks out of the picture, have been very good in the Cox Plate.
Yeah, absolutely they have, and he's got the right form. He's a European three-year-old with really good European three-year-old form. He comes through the French Derby. He's got form around Deauville Legend, who's the reigning Melbourne Cup favourite. So I think the horses he's been racing around are super competitive in anything they raced in around the world. So he's got to be in the picture here for a Cox Plate.
Now, the horses that Animo's beaten so far, they can't just turn up and do the same thing, can they? They've got to do something different to beat Animo.
That's it, because they keep going to the races. He finds a way to win, whereas they keep doing what they're doing and they're getting beaten. I think if they were going to get him, it was probably last start at Caulfield when he lost 2.5 to 3 lengths coming around that corner. He still picked himself up off the canvas and got the job done. He's blessed with a brilliant will to win. And that takes you so far in the Cox Plate. Remember Kingston Town, Matty, all those years ago?
Can't win.
When he couldn't win? He did.
He did.
Maybe Animo's that horse.
You talked about El Bodegon. Is it the right profile, and where do you see El Bodegon?
I think it is the right profile. I think he'll be in the first sort of 3 or 4 on settling, and that's going to be an advantage. He can ride the speed. He's a very lightly framed horse. He only weighs about 420 kilos, so he's like a little whippet getting around the valley. I think they'll take off as they get sort of midway around that home turn. He'll try and go and force it and kick a little gap around them on the corner. He'll be a hard horse to run down.
All right, we come to the important part. Who wins the Cox Plate for you?
I think El Bodegon will win it. I think it'll be heartbreak again for Animo. I love Animo. He's such a good horse to watch as far as our local weight for age horses are concerned. But what we've seen consistently in the last probably decade or more is when these European horses come, when they're the right ones, they usually get the job done.
All right, well, I've got Animo on top of El Bodegon, and I'll throw in Sharkie. So no real surprises there, but it should be a wonderful race. And that is at the barriers. Plenty more to come.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's betr. Gamble responsibly.